Alright, after researching and finding what I found my interest in, I found the Vast Wasteland Debate of 1961. As you can see, this is a wasteland with a television that is put in there, but it is broken down because of the destruction it causes and mayhem that it influences young children and the consumption it has on people's lives. This is a little background on the debate. Newton Minow, he is the chairman of the Federal Communications Committee, and he addressed the Association of Broadcasters about the influence of television. And what he was saying about it was, he was just saying how evil, like the evil messages and biased ideas that the broadcasters are producing is influencing children in a negative way, and is not like pertaining to realistic ideas or things that can improve society, which was a logical reason. And he also argued the public interest and how it merely how representatives are supposed to merely obtain like this calling, and how they should focus more on public interest and less on like, I don't know, worldly things such as television or business. And he was more realistic about the people's wants instead of, or the people's like well-being instead of things that aren't important or are unrealistic. And he also says how it consumes Americans' health and how they warp their lives around television, and how it can have a negative impact on them as well. And then also he attacks the advertisers to and how they're trying to make money and have mass audiences to tune in, which has no valid point in why they're trying to do that besides making money and helping themselves out. And then this is an ideal description of what he says, and it's a quote, and it says, "When television is good, nothing, not the theater, not the magazine or newspaper, nothing is better. But when television is bad, nothing is worse." And I agreed with him here and just said that people often gyre media and depend on the production of the program, and if it's well done, then nothing else matters to them. Like, they don't care the message that it's trying to portray, if it is negative or if it's unrealistic. And then Newton Minow depicts television to be bad just because it has the influence, it has a major influence on society and how they view things. And a statistic that was shown was that 98% of programs produced are bizarre, so they're just ridiculous and not needed. And then he came up with these 6 principles just for people to know, not really, I don't know, he didn't really have any meaning behind it, but for the people to take this into consideration, I guess. And what he said was, first, the people own the air. And what he meant by that is people have the right to decide for themselves what they're going to do with their time and and their will. And then second, foolish and wasteful. It's foolish and wasteful to continue our path at a downward spiral, which just means if we continue to watch these bizarre shows and things that are unrealistic, it's going to get us nowhere in life. And third, a free enterprise system. So basically he's giving us a challenge to improve broadcasting systems and improve our well-being by staying away from these stations. And then fourth, he said he'd do his job to have more educational stations and more things that are realistic and will help us in our future. And then fifth, no governmental censorship. Society must develop themselves. So basically he's giving all freedom to society and their choices. And sixth was, the renewal will not be pro forma in the future. There's nothing permanent or sacred about a broadcast license. Looking out for public interest and well-being is what he thinks the main purpose of broadcasters should be. And that's pretty much it for the principles. And then who should be held responsible. He argues about the broadcasters and the government, like in their input on, like, I guess, television and what they allow the public to view, or he says the people. And ultimately, he believes the accountability is held in each individual home. However, broadcasters do influence their decisions and what they decide to watch and how hooked they become to it. And then he also discusses how parents should show leadership and dominance in their homes, and that they should look out for what their children are exposed to. And if there is a problem, then they can contact someone, because freedom is essential to our culture and should be exercised but still limited. So he believes that limitations should not be governmental but should be personal. So you should be able to limit yourself to how much TV you're exposed to. And then the pros and cons.
I have a question.
Okay.
So do you think he blames the TV broadcasting, the producers for the bad influences, or does he blame families for choosing to watch the bad influences, the bad shows?
He holds the individual homes accountable more, but the influence comes from the broadcasters. So
he thinks both?
He thinks both, but more the individual homes than the actual broadcaster, just because they're allowing it to take over their home.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, and then what I thought the pros and cons were of his argument. Well, I agreed almost entirely, except for there are some good things that come from television, such as news, current events, political channels, and sports. Just because I think they're all beneficiary to our culture and provide useful information for our society. And then a con is, however, production of most channels are irrelevant and display unrealistic events that are not needed to better society or enlighten mankind. So basically it's just entertainment that they're trying to display or convey to us. And then another pro or thing I believe should happen is limitations should also be brought up in the countless amount of hours many spend wasting time deliberating pointless material. Like, people are always consuming their lives trying to unravel mysteries in a TV show, or look forward to the next episode the following week when they should be focusing on more important things. And then there are some movies and shows that can contain moral stories and life lessons, even if it doesn't present society-altering goals, but instead characterizing yourself positively. So it can lift you up, for example, a girl who hasn't had a very good high school career, but then goes on to be famous designer or something. So it does inspire you to try harder in some areas. Mm-hmm. And then a con is idolization influences can be a problem for children. Just for example, a secret agent killing multiple men to get what he was sent to do can send the wrong message to the child, thinking this is alright to do. And then this is a quote that I said, or this is the television code. And it says, television and all who participate in it are jointly accountable to the American public for respect for the special needs of children, for their community, for the advancement of education and culture, and for the acceptability of the program materials chosen. Then it goes on to say, program materials should enlarge the horizons of the viewer, provide him with wholesome entertainment, afford helpful stimulation, and remind him of the responsibilities which his citizen has toward his society. And basically what he's saying is, this is just providing guidelines and substantial viewings that we can live by the television code, which is what I just read, and it will help us create, or which us as a people create with or that we can live by, that we should be living by, but we don't right now, just because of all the propaganda that they're teaching us. And then what the government is involved, or the government is known to have the most influential and powerful voice over the American people, and yet they fail to use it when it comes to television. And Minnow, like, says this quite a few times in his argument, just saying how government isn't speaking about television and the influence it has over everyone enough, and how much it would impact society if they did start to use it, their voice. And then people continually practice this absurd lifestyle, because most people consider it to be a lifestyle, or they, like I've said before, they base their lives around a show, or they look forward to coming home and watching television rather than studying or learning more about their church or something. Limitations are not liberal, but should be placed into consideration, just because if we don't set limitations, he's not too sure if we'll stop watching them, because it expands every day. Like, the TV shows are endless, stuff like that. And then, other than the government doing absolutely nothing about it, programs are increasing in viewers and money spent on irrelevant ideas. So at this rate, we'll become even a more in debt nation, and won't have a very good future. So that's a scary thing to think about. And then this is just what we should do as society and as people. And what I wrote down is just involvement in developing more educating programs, increasing the power and influence of the broadcasters. Just like not let their programs take hold of us and pull us in to want to know more, and to tune in next week and to spend less time doing that. And then standing up for the television code and living by it. So basically just enlightening ourselves with television instead of just watching unrealistic things and events that happen. And then to not persist in media that is repulsive or displays crude or unrealistic behavior, which is just what I've repeated multiple times now, just staying away from media that isn't substantial to you or your society. And then limiting ourselves as individuals to time spent in front of a television, which is the same thing as even spending time outdoors or doing something other than TV and doing things irrelevant to the world around you. And then accommodation of logical programs that are for your own good. So just instead of tuning into your favorite show, maybe going and watching the news or some political debate that can help you know more about your nation or what's going on around you. And then the desire to live outside your comfort zone, because people often feel too comfortable just going and lounging instead doing something they normally wouldn't do, so exercise or something along those lines. And that will do it. Just got a couple bibliographies. I'm done.